this video, I'm going to go over my top 10, not top 5, not top 7, top 10 favorite breakup movies. You might be surprised which ones I choose, so stick around. Number 1, The Graduate. There's a whole mom and daughter situation. Recent graduate doesn't know what to do with his life, like most of us recent graduates or just anybody. So not only is it a relatable film, but it's also it's really, really good. From its editing to the music to just everything. If you haven't seen The Graduate, what are you doing? Go watch that movie. I'm pretty sure it's free online somewhere. Watch it. Number 2. Any John Cusack rom-com from the 1980s up until the early 2000s. So this includes Grosse Pointe Blank, High Fidelity, Better Off Dead, Serendipity, and Say Anything. A lot of those movies were about him losing a partner, then spending the whole entire movie trying to get that partner back, only to find that it was somebody else, the one who was beside him the whole time, that turned out to be the perfect arrangement, the perfect partner. Movie number 4, Vanilla Sky. Tragic, confusing, a lot happens in that movie. It's very interesting. It's definitely worth watching. Vanilla Sky is it'll make you think. It'll make you think about your life. It'll make you think about death. It'll make you think about, what if that were me? Is this reality even real? It'll just blow your mind. Breakup movie number 4, Chasing Amy. It goes through a lot of social issues and social situations that I think that we can all relate to. And it's really big on, it has a really big discussion on sexuality and trying to be more understanding of other people's sexuality, even if it's something that doesn't make sense to you, and maybe being more open-minded rather than judging people so harshly and breaking up with someone because you can't agree with their views or their past or whatever. But it's a really great movie, and I just can't recommend Chasing Amy enough. It's just so good. The music is good, the acting is good, the whole of it all is good. Have you ever gotten out of a relationship and you just wanted to completely forget everything that happened? You want to forget the person who even ever existed. You want to forget everything? Well, that's what happens in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a really interesting film. It just goes to show you that no matter how much you try to forget, unless you deal with the situation, it'll come back. And maybe things will work out for the better. So, breakup movie number 6, Closer. Closer tells the story of 2 different relationships and what happens when those relationships collide, and not in a good way. Yeah, so Closer it can be pretty hard to watch because these characters are just they're just so bad. It's like everybody's kind of cheating on everybody else, and yeah. The acting is really good because by the end of it, you're gonna feel a certain way about each character. Number 7, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So let's talk about Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This is a fun one to watch. It's a little sad, but it's also really funny. And I think that it's also a good example of how, one relationship ends and then you get in another one that's even better than what you could have ever imagined. Universe. But yeah, it's a good one of our time, and it's funny. All those guys are in it. All those funny people are in that one. So it's funny. It's not the best movie that you'll ever see. Like, The Graduate. The Graduate is just, I can never get over The Graduate. It's just like one of the best movies I've ever seen. And it's from the 60s, so it was very much ahead of its time. Even if you're not into classic films, which I know a lot of people aren't, The Graduate is one that you might be shocked. But no, we're talking about Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So back to Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's a feel-good film. It's a good one. It shows you what happens when somebody has been cheated on, and how they cope with that, or how they try to cope, or how they try to get back together, or how they try to get through that. May the bridges I burn light the way. I thought this pendant, which I usually wear as a medallion like that, was very appropriate for this video, because we're talking about breakup movies and how burnt bridges can lead to better ways. So there's always a silver lining. I forgot Silver Linings Playbook. Such a good movie. So Silver Linings Playbook is number 9, I think. Yeah. So Silver Linings Playbook is another really good one with Jennifer Lawrence and what's that guy's name? I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. That's right, Bradley Cooper. So yeah, if you've never seen, excuse me, if you've never seen Silver Linings Playbook, I can't recommend it enough. It's really good. It's such a good movie. It's funny. It's sad. It'll make you cry. It'll make you. It's a very relatable movie, even if you're not dealing with the same issues. It's very relatable. It might be a bunch of people screaming at each other and a lot of chaos, but there's a silver lining to it. They're all learning and growing in this movie, and they learn how to solve their problems without being so chaotic. And it's such a good movie. I was wrong. Silver Linings Playbook is number 8, not number 9. Number 9 is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They break up, and you'll see what happens in the end. And then number 10 is By the Sea with Brad and Angelina again. It's interesting how Mr. and Mrs. Smith from 2005 was the beginning of Brad and Angelina's relationship, and then in 2016, I want to say, was By the Sea, and that was the end of their relationship, unfortunately. Not the complete end, but you know what I'm saying. So those are both really good movies with the both of them. They're both really great in it. It was 2015, so they were 10 years apart. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is really fun. It's a fun movie to watch. It's a cute movie. It's one I've seen multiple times, and then By the Sea is a more serious, heavy type of film. There's no comedy. It's just all drama and all seriousness, but it's a really great project that they did together that she wrote. So that Angelina Jolie wrote. So check it out. So originally when I did this, I was going to do like top 5, which is more usual. Like most people always say like top 5 this, top 5 that. But it has turned into a top 10 list because there are just so many good films out here. There's so many good films that I know that some people might not be aware of, some people may have forgotten. So let's go over that really quick. Number 1, The Graduate, which is my favorite. I've seen it so many times. I remember watching that one every day after my last breakup, and I resonated with it so much that it just helped me. Not that I've ever done anything in that movie, but in terms of being in a place where you don't know where you're going and you don't know who you are or what you're supposed to do, and that's kind of where Dustin Hoffman plays this character who has just graduated college and he doesn't know what to do with his life, and he's kind of just drifting along, and I think some of us can relate to that, especially now during this time. We can sort of feel like we're drifting and we don't know where we're going and we don't really know what to do or how to make things better, but it's a great film to watch, and it has a very interesting ending, so I can't recommend it enough. It's way ahead of its time. You'll be surprised when you see it. Number 2 was any John Cusack movie from the 1980s until the early 2000s. He did a lot of rom-coms. as we call them now, such as Gross Point Blank and Better Off Dead. That was like one of his first ones, and Serendipity, and what's another one? High Fidelity. You know, the show is really great too. If you're familiar with Hulu, Zoe Kravitz plays his character, and she does a great job of. They all do a great job of recreating the film into a TV show, and it's very entertaining. It's funny. It's just great. So I can't recommend both of those enough. Number 3 is Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky stars Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz, and Penelope Cruz. It's a really interesting film. It'll really make you think. It'll really make you wonder, what am I doing with my life? And is this reality? And what's happening? And blah, 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 blah. You'll ask a lot of questions. And it's just a good movie. But it's also interesting seeing so many of the concepts, so many major themes, such as taking things for granted, not being grateful for what we do have in our lives. Also, there's this whole Dorian Gray complex where, you know, his inner self is sort of reflected outside, you know, and it really makes you think, and it makes him think too. This character thinks about the way that he treated people, and then it also goes through the consequences of your actions and how you treat people, and the sort of idea that you can't really hurt other people without hurting yourself. So yeah, Vanilla Sky, it seems to make homage or reference to so many pop culture, television shows, movies, but the thing that stood out to me, one of the things that stood out to me was the scene where he's banging on this glass window. You're so cute. He's so cute. Where he's banging on a glass window, much like how Dustin Hoffman did in The Graduate, one of the final scenes of The Graduate. So it was interesting to see those two connections, because I didn't notice that before. But it might also remind you of The Matrix, because there is this whole reality thing that happens. It might also remind you of a recent film called Selfless. Other kitty. Another film called Selfless, where you see this intersection between technology and reality and the quest, I suppose, for immortality. And furthermore, the breakup of those concepts. So when the character becomes aware of the matrix that they're in, they decide whether or not to break from, or rather break up with, that matrix. And I could spend like a whole movie talking about Vanilla Sky, and I'm sure we all could. Like, there's just so much that you can say about it. It gives so much, it just gives so much material, you know, to dissect and analyze. It's very interesting seeing the whole ideas of law of attraction in this film, and the whole being able to create and shape your reality. If you watch the movie, you'll understand what I'm saying. It sounds crazy, but it's a pretty crazy movie, and it's fun to watch. So number 4 was Chasing Amy, which is a Kevin Smith movie. It's one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. It has Ben Affleck and Joey Lawrence, I think is her name. So it deals with a lot of issues and conversations around sexuality, and about opening your mind and not being so judgmental towards other people. It's a good one. Oh, not to forget, Chasing Amy is very 90s. So if you love 90s stuff, if you're very nostalgic about the 90s, you will like Chasing Amy. And any other Kevin Smith movie for that movie, like Clarks and Mallrats. He's great. And he's vegan, Kevin Smith. Alright, so number 5, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It stars Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey, and it has some funny moments, but it's mostly pretty dramatic. It's also a really bizarre and strange film, so it's really interesting and fun to watch. And there are some really good comedic moments throughout, and it's a Michel Gondry film, so it's gonna be really quirky and interesting. It's a good movie. It'll make you think about all those times where you've said that you wish someone didn't exist, and then you realize, well, that's not true. Number 7 was Closer. There's a lot that goes on in it. It stars Julia Roberts, Clive Owen, Jude Law, and Natalie Portman, who is also vegan. So what's really intriguing about Closer is the psychology behind it all. Like, all these people are kind of playing tricks with each other and mind games, and they're being dishonest up until the point where they feel that they have to be honest, to the point where they just can't take it anymore because they are hurting from all the hurting that they're doing towards other people. But yeah, so it's just also really interesting how a lot of these characters kind of know that something's going on behind their back, or they kind of know that their partner is up to something, yet they still stay in these relationships and these unhealthy dynamics. So it's just like they're like desperately clinging to these unhealthy dynamics and routines and behaviors until things just get too out of hand, I suppose. But it's definitely worth watching. Closer is not one of my favorite movies. I probably will not watch it again. I know you're probably like, well, if you're not going to watch it again, if it's not one you want to watch over and over, why is it on this list? It's on this list because it is a great example of a breakup movie and having to cut ties and let go and be honest and be upfront with your intentions and, realize how you treat other people, because a lot of the characters in this movie are their actions are quite deplorable. And if anything, it also provides a great example of how not to treat people and how not to behave. So the majority of these characters are at fault, and they come to terms with it and they become honest at some point, but it's still like, it feels kind of late for this honesty. 7 was Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is silly. It's got some silly moments in it, but it's got some heartfelt moments behind it as well. It's funny, but like funny cringy. Like, there's so many cringy moments in that you'll just be like, but you'll be like laughing at the same time, hopefully. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Let's put that out there first thing. It's not for everybody, but it's just super silly. Number 8 was Silver Linings Playbook. I don't know why I keep forgetting that one. I love that one. I've seen it multiple times. It's a good one. It's a feel-good movie, but it'll also have some sad and serious moments in there, but it's got some good funny moments in it as well, and it's got Robert De Niro's in it again, and Jennifer Lawrence, she's always great, and Bradley Cooper. It's a good one. That's all I can say. So at number 9, we have Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and at number 10, By the Sea, which both of those two star Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And they're both very different films, but they have a similar dynamic and a similar way of being. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody. That is not what I'm doing here. I'm just saying that, it's interesting to watch that one, watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and then watch By the Sea, and it's interesting. These are all really great films. These are films that get me excited. This is why I made this video. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video, and leave any feedback or comments or whatever in the comments. Let me know what you think, what movies you like, what breakup movies are your favorite. I know I've spent most of this video looking over here because I'm looking at myself, which is weird. It's a weird thing, but I'm trying to learn to look here, which is more like looking at you. This is a strange thing that I'm getting myself into. So regardless of your relationship status, these movies can resonate with you, whether you're in a good relationship or you're gotten out of a relationship a long time ago, or you're getting out of a relationship, or you're cutting ties with just whoever or whatever does not serve you. That could be negative emotions. That could be a human being, much like in these movies. That could be, grieving, dealing with a loss, and trying to move through that loss. And that's what a lot of these movies are about. It's about getting through and coping and learning new ways of being, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you could be breaking up with bad habits. You could be breaking up with something that you just need to let go of. But sometimes you have to go through things in order to really see what you value and what really matters to you, which is pretty reflective of what's happening in our 2020 COVID time. If you're a film person and you like watching movies, I hope that this video was helpful for you. This is not a movie. This is just like a 10-minute, hopefully 10-minute video. And I hope you stuck it out to the end. May the bridges you burn light your way. Remember that if you're going through a hard time, there's something beautiful waiting on the other side. So that's the whole point of these movies, I think. You know, all these characters go through these tough times, but they make it out in the end, and you see how when you watch the movie. So from my heart to yours, I hope that you love these movies as much as I do, and that they resonate with you and that you like them. And if you don't like them, then, you know, let us know what you think in the comments. Be cool to see if you have any opinions on this list, or if you have any suggestions for any of your favorite breakup movies, add them in the comments below. And see you next time.